So, no, I wouldn't say I have a passion for HR.
Welcome back to Human Resources for the People. It's a human capital revolution. Today we're going to be talking about this new Axios article that came out, and they do seem to be a little bit repetitive. I saw this article a little bit ago, then was trying to find it again, and I thought I had it, and then it was literally the one from last year. But ultimately, unionization rate dropped again to a new low in 2023. We're going to talk about how that matters, what's going on, and how that ultimately impacts overall unionization. So the share of American workers has gone down to 10%. That's quite low historically, and is part of an overall downward trend since the 1950s, 1960s. The actual amount of workers who are union members actually went up to 14.4 million from 14.3. And that is a growth, but most of that it's swallowed up by the growth in the overall economy. There was obviously more than zero point 0.1 or more than a large percent of workers that grew in general. And so, 14.4 million workers, but still a lower percentage, 10% down. And that's pretty low across the world. The all-time high is Iceland, which 91.8%, and it goes down. Of the major OECD countries, Turkey's actually 6.3, and South Korea is 9%, which is below the United States. What was a little bit surprising to me is that France was as low as it currently is, and I sort of question these numbers a little bit. What a lot of the growth, specifically that zero point 0.1 mil growth, I think came from the increase in government jobs. Government jobs made up about 35.3% of all unions, and you can kind of see that specifically surrounding like teachers' unions, things of that nature. You'll see the public sector jobs, whereas in the private sector, it's down to 6.7%. However, government jobs and government spending has been accelerating, and as a result, you'll see some growth that will naturally come from that. So we want to talk about why it matters, and I'm not going to talk about the ideas surrounding inequality, although that has a piece to play. But it's really what it is the snowball effect of what's called union density, and this is a really key concept to understand about unionization. Union density refers to the percentage of workers in a particular industry, sector, or country who are members of labor unions. For example, if there are 500 union members out of a total workforce of 1,000, the union density is 50%. And union densities can obviously vary significantly between industries, sectors, and countries. And ultimately, what's important to understand about union density is that it has a snowball effect. There's a positive correlation between union density and overall level of unionization. As the percentage of unionized workers increase, the overall extent of unionization in a given industry or region tends to rise. In addition, higher union density is associated with more successful bargaining outcomes for unions. Research suggests that unions in industries or sectors with higher densities are more effective in negotiating favorable terms for their members, including higher wages and better working conditions. And I think ultimately there's at least some relationship between elections and unions, right? So as you have a higher union density, you are likely to elect politicians who are more likely to support unionization, which as a result will then propel the unionization further. And that's why you see this collective. I mean, in theory, I suppose the percentage of private industry versus government unions should be equal, right? There's no, ultimate difference between the two jobs, but they're different because there's one of the reasons being that there's different union densities, right? And so as you see a decline, even though you are seeing overall enthusiasm for unionization increase, the decrease in overall membership rate is actually very critical. And you're seeing, a lot of people talk about the enthusiasm. Unionization unions have been never considered to be more popular for the last, I think it's 50 years. You can see here, but unionization has never been considered to be more popular, but yet as a portion of the population, they're making up a smaller amount of the overall group. And that is important for the future of unions to understand. And so As you see these statistics come out, I mean, Axios kind of covers this pretty well, even if they're a little bit repetitive. There is clearly, in my opinion at least, a direct correlation between the two. And as you see the numbers with respect to unionization come out, you're going to see a little bit of a disconnect. The numbers have increased, but ultimately, the union density has decreased. Let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. Do you think union density matters? As someone who's worked in a town that's quite small that had, I think, 7 unions, surely that had to have some interplay and some importance between each other. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye, guys.